Hey guys, Justin Bryant here from selfmadesuccess.com, and in this video I'm going to show you the best social media marketing strategy for 2017, and I'm going to break it down into multiple steps for you so that you know what mistakes not to make and what things you need to focus on, whether you're building a personal brand, whether you're building a small business brand, um, whether you're trying to make money from sponsored posts on social media, whether you're trying to build a YouTube channel, no matter what you're doing, these apply to pretty much every situation. So for 2017, I'm going to give you what the best brands are doing. The first thing you want to do is focus on just your main social media platforms. It's really hard to stretch yourself out and do all of them. So, um, for instance, with your blog, if you have a website, Neil Patel, if you go to this article here by Neil Patel called 7 Social Media Mistakes That Can Keep You from Going Viral, he does a study where he used less social media share buttons. He got more shares because of that, because he got rid of all of the options. So if you have like 5 or more social media buttons, for instance, you might narrow it down to 2 or 3 or something like that. And you'll notice that on most of his articles, he gets a lot of shares, especially his newest ones, and it's really worked for him after finding this study. It increased click-throughs by 11% when he cut down to just 3 social media buttons on his articles. So instead of doing as many as possible, at least when you're starting out, you want to do maybe Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest, or something like that. The reason I started with Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter is because if you look at the Alexa.com top used websites as far as the most traffic, so these are the websites with the most traffic on the entire internet, and you'll notice that Facebook is number 3, being the first main social media platform. Some people think YouTube is social media, but I think it's more of a content platform for actually having your main content, like just videos. But as far as social media, as far as like sharing content, Facebook is up there at number 1. Then you have Twitter. You could try to make the argument that Reddit is social media, but it's really not in many people's eyes. So Facebook, Twitter, you'll notice Twitter's number 12 in the entire world in terms of traffic. And then you have Instagram down here at number 18. So if you're looking for the top social media platforms that you want to focus on, if you want to just pick 3, those would be the top 3 you should probably focus on first, because they are the ones with the most traffic and you will hit the most of your target audience through those 3. Another thing you want to do on social media that a lot of companies screw up is posting too much promotional stuff and not enough value. So you'll notice that, for instance, if you look at Founder magazine, they do a great job. A lot of people have never even heard of them, yet they have 1 million followers. They're basically a competitor to Entrepreneur magazine, Forbes and stuff like that. But they have 1 million followers on Instagram, mainly because most of the stuff they publish is just interesting content. It's not looking for anything in return. It's not looking to get you to click anything. It's just a quote or something like that. You'll notice they get quite a few shares on quotes. Whereas when you do promotional content, it doesn't get as many shares. So not only do you build a bigger following by doing more value-based content like quotes, maybe a quick tip, or some inspiring stories, or something funny like a video or a picture. Those types of things can really get more followers and get more engagement out of your profile. Whereas if you post like the cover of your latest magazine, you'll notice you won't get as many people sharing. So you build a bigger brand by posting more of that stuff, plus you keep people from unfollowing you, because if you post a lot of promotional stuff, people won't want your stuff in their feed anymore. So I recommend using the 80-20 rule. 80% of what you post should be informative or entertaining and not expecting anything in return. And then the other 20% can be more promotional. Another example, if you look at Twitter, for instance, is Jeff Bullis. He's a very well-known social media marketing blogger. And you'll notice that he'll usually pin something at the top of his feed, like a book or something that he's promoting. And if you look at his feed, though, you'll notice that it's pretty much all articles that help you with different things that have to do with social media and other forms of marketing. So most of his content is helpful articles that help you, as opposed to just, buy my ebook, or do this promotional thing. So another one, of course, Gary Vaynerchuk. He's a very well-known influencer right now. He really came from nowhere, but you'll notice he has a 1.53 million followers on Twitter. He has a lot of YouTube subscribers. He has a lot of followers on other platforms as well. And he has a media business now because he's gotten so good at this. But you'll notice that every once in a while he'll do some promotional thing where, maybe he'll promote something he's doing on TV or something like that. But most of the time it's like quotes, it's inspiring videos and things like that, and images that kind of show you behind the scenes stuff of what he actually does and how to help yourself get to the next level. So post more value, do the 80-20 rule. Don't just try and get a lot of followers either. One mistake I made when I started out, I tried to just follow a bunch of people and hope that they would follow back. But then you're going to eventually have a profile that looks pretty spammy. You're going to be like someone who's following way more people than are following them. So let's say you want to look at Entrepreneur, for instance, a very big brand, 870,000 Instagram followers. They're only following 157 people. Clearly, they didn't use the idea of following a bunch of people and having them follow back, because only about 15 to 20% of people will follow you back. So if you're going to do that, just do it at the very beginning, and then make sure that you just use content that brings value, that actually makes people want to follow you, that makes people want to share, instead of just following hundreds of thousands of people all the time. And even the people that have done it in the past don't do it anymore. Like Jeff Bullis, you can see that he did a lot of that before with 239,000 people he's following. He doesn't know all those people, but he doesn't do it anymore, because you'll notice that he basically has twice as many, if actually more than twice as many followers as people he's following now. So you want to get out of the idea of just following and trying to build a bunch of followers. It's really more important to have less higher quality followers instead of having more low quality followers. So another one, Lewis Hawes, he's gotten very popular as an entrepreneur lately, and he actually follows very few people compared to how many followers he has on his profile. So I'm just looking at Pinterest, for instance, not even his main platform, but you'll notice that most of the top brands do not have a lot of people that they're following. So if you want to build a quality brand, you don't want to look like somebody who's just desperate for followers. Another thing you want to do is listen to your target audience. So wherever they are, you need to find them. One place that you can find them is on Reddit, or in social media groups. You have LinkedIn groups, you have Facebook groups, you have Google Plus communities and things like that. If you look at Alexa and you want to look at the top websites, I mentioned it earlier, but Reddit right here, number 9, they're in the top 10 in the world in terms of traffic. So Reddit is a great place to find wherever your audience might be. And you can find just about any subreddit for anything on Reddit. So what you want to do is search over here in the search bar and then find the subreddit for people who would be in your target audience. So if you're looking for people interested in, you know, movies or something, you might type in movies, you might type in, um, you know, different makers of movies or, movie reviews or whatever. Another place that you can find people and see kind of what they're looking for and what they have issues with and what they wish people would do is Quora. People ask their questions on Quora these days. So if you want to find what kind of questions your audience is asking, go to Quora, get some ideas, and post content that helps with that on social media. Or create products that help with that and then market them on social media. So you want to know where they are, you want to know what their problems are, you want to know what they hate about certain brands and how to be better as a brand by knowing them better. Another thing you can do is make followers feel appreciated and actually noticed. And this is something Gary Vaynerchuk, this guy right here, has preached, and he says that he can go through and figure out if a brand is legit and worth looking at based on how much of a loyal following they have and how much time they spend with their followers and if they actually care about the people that follow them. So a way to show that is to learn from the best. Of course, you can just take a little bit of time every day to check and see what your followers are asking or what they want to know or what they're retweeting and what they're interested in, and just show them that you actually care and that you actually read some of what they're tweeting or some of the stuff they're commenting on Facebook, or you're actually answering some of their questions. You're taking the time to actually care. So one person who does a good job of this is Tony Robbins. You'll notice he retweets people's stuff all the time, whether it's from something he wrote or whether it's from an article somewhere else that was interesting to him, or whether it's from somebody who interviewed him at one time or somebody he just has never even met and just thought what they said was interesting. He's not trying to take all the credit all the time. So I would look at Tony Robbins on Twitter, see kind of some of the stuff he does that gives credit to others besides himself. And Tim Ferriss, he's another one that does a great job of this. If you just go down his feed, sure, he has stuff that promotes his brand in his books maybe, but you'll also notice that he retweets a lot of stuff from his followers and from people who he might know or he might not have ever met before. Just regular people. He goes through and he will retweet stuff that is interesting to him. When they tweet at Tim Ferriss, there's a chance they might actually get a response. So more and more people will look at his tweets and they'll tweet at him, and it makes him a more popular person on social media, and it proves to them that he's worth following and that he's loyal to his followers, and it's not just his followers, having a one-way street to trying to communicate with Tim Ferriss. Also, you can get some help from influencers. So if you want, one of the fastest ways to build a big brand on social media, obviously, is to get help from people who are extremely good at what they do. Now, as a side note, one other thing I wanted to show you is a way to keep up with your followers. Like if you want to keep up with your messages or your shout outs or your retweets, people that are mentioning you and things like that, and you want to do it all in one place for all your social media accounts, I recommend you look at Hootsuite. It's completely free to use. You can upgrade if you want, but you may not need to. But you'll notice that, I have some different tabs here, like news feeds. I can put Facebook, I can put Twitter, I can put all these different news feeds and see who's retweeting me, who's following me, and then I can mention them and look them up. Or personal messages. You have personal messages on Facebook pages, Twitter, and other ones as well. But you can check your personal messages from social media all in one screen like that as well using Hootsuite. So if you want to keep up with those people, you want to show them that you actually care and that you actually see what they are posting about you, then you can create like a new tab and then do engage with your audience where they show you your mentions, your comments, and things like that. Or you can show all streams, or you can expand your audience. You can show the messages. So Hootsuite's a great tool for that. But back to getting some help from influencers. If you want to reach out to an influencer, one great way to do it that I've seen that works very well, whether it's somebody trying to get a job, like maybe you've heard of the Rich Roll podcast. Rich Roll is a very big fitness guy, big brand who's done very well for himself, but he found his assistant for his podcast through a guy who was just relentless, who was a fan, who reached out to him on all the major social media platforms he was on. Then eventually he realized, hey, this guy keeps reaching out. Let's show him some attention, and it turned out to be a great partnership. So things like that. So reach out to them on all the platforms that you can, that you know they're active on. An influencer might be somebody with 100,000 followers or 1 million followers that's in the same industry as you. There's a article here I recommend you read by Social Media Examiner, one of the best social media marketing blogs out there. It's called How to Connect with Influencers on Social Media. So it gives you some ideas. I recommend you read it in your free time, but you can use BuzzSumo. You can use LinkedIn, of course. If you connect on LinkedIn, you can message people personally, engage on Facebook. You might be in some of the same groups as these people. You can interact on Twitter by tweeting at them like they do to Tim Ferriss, where he actually sees it. You do like at and then their Twitter handle. It's another way to reach out. You can connect on Instagram in many ways by following them and then commenting all the time. But if you can get one influencer to retweet you or to share something you did on Facebook or something, then that can really make your following explode. As far as, another thing that you can do as far as social media marketing, you can make a daily habit for the long haul. So the thing about making a habit of social media, you're not going to be able to just blow up all in one day. You need to build it over time. It's a long process. It's more of a marathon than a sprint when it comes to building a social media platform or a influence on the platform. So what you want to do is, for instance, look at how often you should post on each social media platform. So if you're going to focus on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram because they have the most traffic, you might post once a day, maybe twice on certain days on Facebook, according to CoSchedule, who did a compilation of the top studies and then took the average of all these top studies. So you want to post 1 to 2 times a day on Facebook, and that is about the maximum you want to do for the best results. For Twitter, you can post like 15 times per day. Some people do more than that, but about 15 times per day on Twitter. It shows you when to post, of course. If you didn't notice it on Facebook, it also shows you between 1 and 4 p.m. is the best time to post on Facebook. On Twitter, every hour or two, you should post on Twitter. And that can be a great way to make a daily habit just by scheduling different tweets throughout that day, for every day. You can use Hootsuite, you can use Buffer. There's a lot of different tools that help you actually schedule those things. Pinterest, of course, 11 times per day. LinkedIn once per day. Google Plus twice a day. Instagram, another example, 1 to 2 posts per day. 3 is sometimes acceptable, but that can be kind of high. First post should be between 8 and 9 a.m. Second post about 2 a.m., believe it or not. So that just gives you an idea of how often you should be posting every day if you want to make this a habit. So a habit is really what creates success in everything. So if you can create a daily habit, just a small daily habit to work on this every day, you will see progress much faster. And this is one of my favorite quotes, and it really explains it very well. It says, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit," by Aristotle. So if you can make a daily habit, that's how you figure out what your daily habit should be and how often to post. It's on coschedule.com if you want to see this. It's called How Often to Post on Social Media, from proven research from 14 studies. And another thing, last but not least, is your analytics. This is something I've always been preaching the last year or so, whatever it's been, because analytics are incredibly important. I didn't see very good results. I didn't see very fast growth until I started paying a lot of attention to analytics. So if you want to see your analytics, which is your numbers of, are you getting more shares? Are you getting less shares? How are your likes? How are your comments? How are your followers? Are you getting more followers? Are you losing followers? It tells you all the numbers that you need to know. So like Facebook, for instance, you can go to Insights. That's your analytics on Facebook. If you go to Twitter, you go to your profile, go down to analytics right there. And, you can do this for all of your platforms, but this will help you know what's working, what's not, eliminate what's not working, and work on more of what does work. So other than that, that's it as far as creating a social media strategy. If you feel like you got something from this post, please like and subscribe so I can create more videos like this for you. Also, if you want to let me know what you thought about the video, or if you want to let me know about some other strategies that have worked for you on social media, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you and get your feedback. And I know all others would like to see your input as well. Also, I'll get the links, the examples, the related content, and the show notes for this video on one page for you at selfmadesuccess.com in the coming days, and I'll get a link to that page in the video description soon as well. So other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a great day.